Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing.
I'm Courtney Berry.
And I'm Stephanie Brennan.
So I suppose we should tell everybody what we all do. Y'all know me, but Courtney's been on a few times.
Yeah, I'm the video editor at this point.
Yes, so she does many things. And Stephanie, you've seen throughout the series. She also answers your customer service emails, but she actually has a degree in this stuff, so she's the authority here. So we thought we would finish up the series by sharing some things that we have made from quilting cotton or things that you could get conceivably at a quilt shop. So we're going to kind of show off. Maybe we can do like one each and kind of work our way down. That way we're not like all talking for like a big time.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess I'll show off my tunic first. This is from the Tunic Bible, and I actually took a course in this from one of our customers because I wanted to learn how to fit for me. I always have a really hard time fitting for me because like my boobs are not the same size as my stomach, which is not the same size as my hips. So I had a really good time learning how to do it, and I used K facet for the placket and like cut everything out so that it was nice and centered with this big floral. And this is actually Allison Glass Mariner's cloth, and even though it is not a new fabric, I think we still have a couple yards left of it if you love it too and you want to go grab some.
So I'll go with my shirt too. I made this a few years ago. I can't remember the designer, but she's pretty popular.
It's Rifle Paper Company.
Well, yeah,
yes.
But I'm talking about the top, like the design. Who designed
the
pattern.
who designed the top?
Yeah, I meant to look it up. Maybe I'll do a scroll at the bottom or something later. But I absolutely loved this line. But I don't quilt. I have a half-finished top at home, but so I thought maybe I can make a shirt out of it, and it turned out okay. This is lawn. It's a lawn, so it's got a nice drape to it. It's nice and flowy. It's actually really great in the summer. My sewing skills were a little lacking, but it held together, so that was
and I see her wear it often,
yeah.
So it has been worn a few times. Mine gets pulled out for videos at this point. If we have new cave or new Allison Glass, this is the top that gets worn. It kind of lives here at the shop.
Yeah.
But all right, let's show off. Okay, well, Stephanie cheated a little bit, but she's got something really awesome to show off. So let's go ahead and start off with the coat.
So when we first started talking about this video, I did not understand the assignment, and I was thinking like anything that we have made. But so this is a wool. It's actually a wool blend coat that I made in college.
Oh, wow. And
this is stand up. I'm not going to put it on because I'm not the same size that I was in college.
I don't think any of us are.
But it's a long lined coat. Like it actually goes down to my knees. And this coat is a really good example of one that I had to really tailor and alter the pattern because, like, you know, things that we've all run into, like we can't find patterns that fit or clothes that fit us, so I had to really alter this. And a fun mistake that I made on here is when I was tracing the buttons and the buttonhole places, I forgot to take into account that I let out that seam, and so my buttons and buttonholes are in about 2 inches, and when I try to wear it, it doesn't look very good. So, but it was really, I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot about using hair canvas and that pad stitching on the collar up here. So it's been on my to-do list to make another one for quite a long time. And I really think that instead of just going with the black all around, do a really fun lining, like maybe with some lawn fabric or maybe some art gallery that has a little bit of a silkier feel would be a really fun little pop.
We have
on this.
One of our team members who helps do fulfillment and fold your fat quarter bundles. She is doing a quilted jacket with linen. It's like a green linen on the outside. Wow. And she's using one of the Anna Marias for a statement lining. So when you open it up, it's going to be the really pretty stuff behind us, which by the way, we haven't had until now when we started filming. But everything behind us is what you could use potentially for your skirt fabric. So it is really pretty.
It really is.
Very pretty, yeah.
Yes. But I think we all have made other things. I've made 2 baptism gowns and fancy things. But it's fun stuff. And then we've got expert knitter over here.
Yeah, most of my garments are knit.
Yes.
And I was trying to find a couple of dresses that I made for my daughter that were knit on top and then sewn on the bottom and then attached. Very similar. The bottom is very similar to the simple skirt that Stephanie did. And so that it's a possibility of some add-ons.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's so many fun things that you can do. So this was another one that I made for my daughter when she was very little. She said to me today, she's like, Mom, I think I could still fit this. I was like, well, it would be very short. She's like, yeah, you're right. But I think that the 2-year-old will claim it now. I did do a waistband on this. I don't know what exactly I did. Obviously, I gathered something, and then I had my more fitted waistband there and the elastic. But I did line it, and this is Art Gallery fabric, and I think Free Spirit for the lining. They're Free Spirit solids. And Art Gallery is one of the ones that we did recommend for its drapeability. And it feels really nice. And so it does work for garments. I will tell you that, like, I had to iron the bejesus out of all of these, and I think you were ironing yours too right before we came on. Because when you wash it, like, it does not behave like a blouse. You have to iron it in order for it to look nice after. So that is definitely something that you'll have to keep in mind, is that there is a little extra work when you're done with it.
Yeah. And that's actually an excellent segue into my second top, which I'm going to try to get here so we can
This
see.
is an organic cotton poplin.
Yeah.
That we used to have from, oh, which one is it?
Yeah.
Mona Luna.
Same time I bought the material for the shirt that I'm wearing, I bought this. This is sort of like one of my signature colors. I wear it a lot, and I absolutely loved the little triangle detail. But knowing I was making clothing, I thought I should wash it before I sew with it. And I was trying to save time because at the time my daughter, I think, was 2 and my son was 5, and so I just threw it in with some other laundry I had to do, and there was a pen in the wash. So I tried to cut around it as best as I could, but you could see here, there's a pen mark. Underneath the arms, there's a pen mark. And on the back, I made sure that this was at least on the back. And at the time, my hair was a lot longer, so this covered it pretty well. But there's a pen mark there too. So when you wash your stuff, make sure there's no pens in the washer.
Oh no.
You don't want any accidental designs on it.
Pre-washing is important, but
It
yes.
is.
Yeah. Maybe
sure.
just wash it separately from everything else and don't try to cut corners.
The next one that I have is actually this one is quilting cotton. It's a vest that I made for my husband, and
It looks like suede.
It does look like suede.
Like, I thought for
does.
sure that you had not followed the assignment again.
No, this one is the assignment. And this, I mean, you can kind of tell he has worn the bejesus out of this. And
He would like to be a cowboy.
Yes.
And so this is very perfect for him.
Yes. Whenever he comes in, like, whenever he goes out in public, he has his cowboy boots on, his cowboy hat. He wears this all the time, and he didn't want buttons on it. He wanted these ties so that he could tie it shut. But this is another pattern that I really had to alter, because he is, even with men's clothes, he's very, very long waisted, and so I made a muslin of this, several muslins of this for him, to try to find a way to alter it, because it fit him lengthwise in the front, but the back, it was like halfway up his back.
Oh, wow.
It was challenging to try to get that to work, because he wanted this this detail in the back, and so to try to keep that, because if he wanted to just have a flat waistline, that would have been easy. I could have done that. That would have been fine. But I had to figure out how to make everything work. But we did. And then also, like, this is also lined with kind of a silkier ones, and this has been washed.
A lot.
It's been loved.
Yeah,
I have a dress that has also been loved in my stack.
I think I made this for him. Joanna Grace was less than a year old, so about 3 years ago. And he's just worn the crap out of it.
So we all know that little girls like mermaids, and I opened the brick and mortar shop of Quilt Addicts Anonymous when my daughter was in preschool, and she just absolutely loves mermaids, and saw this print, which came from Free Spirit, and it is not exactly a child-friendly mermaid, but she had to have a dress out of this. So I sent her to preschool in this, and I was just waiting for the phone call that, like, you can't send her to this. It's too muscular, and you can barely cover their breasts. But I never did get a phone call. But her teacher was also a quilter, so I think she appreciated it. But, and I want to show you, I know we didn't talk so much about pattern matching, and I didn't do, like, the best job, because, like, there's, like, a buckle in my zipper here. I 100% cut this out, so that way, when the seam came together, it would be the full tail.
Nice.
So I love doing little things like that and like centering it exactly where. So like they're like flowing into each other. It was that one was fun. This one I used some just bias tape that you can buy in the packs at fabric stores to do my seam binding for the bottom and then also my sleeves. I did not like that. It kind of shrunk at a different rate than everything else. So I would not recommend doing that again.
So this skirt is from the same pattern designer as my shirts. I obviously really liked her stuff. This is sort of a conglomeration of things that usually you shouldn't do. This is a mystery fabric that was gifted to me that was, I just thought it looked so 90s, and that's why I went with it. But, and I also had, I think it was like 2 yards at least that I needed, or 3, maybe even 4, because it's a very full skirt. Anyway, so the fabric was gifted to me. It's of unknown origin, unknown age, and unknown quality, but it washed okay. And then also the thread that I used was gifted to me and was really, really old, of unknown origin and unknown age and unknown quality. But I was just trying to use up the stuff that I had. But I was super proud of this skirt because this is a false placket. It doesn't actually button. I just sewed the buttons on there because I was not about to try to do buttonholes. But the front is flat and gathered, which I did an okay job at, I thought. The back is elastic, so it doesn't matter, you know, if I gain a little bit of weight or not, that'll still fit. And I forgot about this until I was ironing it today, because it's been a little while since I wore it, but it has pockets.
Ooh.
Has pretty, and they're like substantial pockets, not like little lady pockets. Like pockets you could put a cell phone in and it's not going to fall out. And there are two of them. So I was pretty proud of how it turned out, especially considering that I was just kind of throwing some stuff together that I had been gifted and wanted to use. So.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, it looks really good. All right, so the last example that I have with me is actually, this is the pull-on skirt that the first video segment that we did. And so I'm going to stand up again because this is actually a long maxi length. And what I did with this one I did a little bit different was the selvages are actually at the waistband and at the hem, and I used the width of fabric
to go top to bottom
to make the skirt. And I made 3 of these. One for me and then one for each of my daughters in a Sunday afternoon after church so that we could go to an ice cream social all matching.
That's cute.
that evening. And my husband wore the vest that I'd made. And we got a family photo somewhere.
We'll have to locate it.
We'll have to try to find that because Maggie, my youngest was like 6 months old, so her skirt is like this
itty
long.
bitty.
Super cute. Joanna Grace, my 4-year-old was having so much fun with her boots running around. So yeah, just another variation that you can do with that pull-on skirt. It's a very simple pattern. You can do a lot with it.
You can, and it's so versatile.
So versatile. Seam though, right? That's like
yeah, this is not a French seam. Yeah, it is a flat felled seam. So to do the flat felled seam, you sew it right sides together like you normally would, and then just top stitch it down the side. And it just kind of keeps it in place. But you do have your raw edges on here, and that's something else you need to watch for when you're washing your homemade garments, is that they're gonna fray. Pretty much any fabric that you use, they're gonna fray. So you do something to finish it. Whether it's, I like the French seam that we've been doing because it keeps everything in place. This also works if you have 5 minutes and need to get it done pronto.
I've done overlocking too with my home sewing machine. And it's not as good as a serger, but it's good enough.
It gets the job done.
And
you want to do something.
On this one, I did a zigzag stitch. You probably can't even see it because the thread matches pretty well, but so I just did a zigzag stitch here, and I've also just pinked the insides so that they would fray but stop at the end of the pinking.
There are many ways to get the same result. Yeah. All right, so I've made this pattern many times. This was like my go-to dress that I always made for Angela when she was little, and I remember making this specifically to put behind our video of our first series, the beginner quilting series. And so if you watch the video of Ken Gamache that was filmed at our previous location, this is in the background. It's made with QT fabrics, which was not on our original list, but I feel like for little girls' dresses, it really doesn't matter. You can get away with whatever. Just know you're going to have to iron it. And one of the things that I really love doing whenever I'm using the quilting cotton for a little girl's dress is making sure that I've got a pop. So I always like to add on the piping to do the pop, and then I would also use that for lining. And in this case, for the hem, I made single fold bias tape and stitch it to the front and then stitch it down to the back as well. And there is actually a double hem here because I didn't catch it all the way around and I did a second. So it looks decorative, but it was because I screwed up the first time. But a fat quarter will give you enough to do your single fold around the entire bottom and also your armholes. And then you don't have to worry about raw edges or anything. And I love doing this. My 2-year-old now is like, that's for me? And I'm like, no, you don't fit it yet. But soon, about a year from now, you can have all the dresses.
She's ready.
She'll be well outfitted.
Yes.
So almost every time I do any sort of hem or any stitching, there's going to be a double line, and you can see that here because when I went to catch, and it's still not even all in there. When I went to catch all of the gathered top of the skirt into the waistband, I definitely didn't do it well the first time. This, I think I actually did before the other skirt, and it's more complicated because this is a fitted waistband. So when we talked about measuring yourself, and Stephanie Brennan said, you know, don't try to flatter yourself, you want the right measurement. I tried to flatter myself with this one, and it was like a full inch smaller than what I actually wore. So I've only worn this a few times because it's always been a little bit on the tight side. And in fact, you can see here on the back, I did an invisible zipper, or whatever this is called when it's got that flap over the top, without a zipper foot because I didn't know what that was. So I just did it. And it has a closure here that I had to move over so that I could breathe. So when you measure yourself, just really get the right measurement and don't try to make it smaller than it should be. But this is, I was actually pretty proud here on the back. I did a pretty good job matching the seams, or matching color, what do you call that? Pattern matching, pretty good. I should have done probably one square over, but I think I was working with a limited amount of fabric. I did not do that on the sides. Since it's a gathered skirt, I didn't think it mattered all that much. So here, not such a great job. But again, I was pretty proud of the way that it turned out. It did look good the couple of times I was able to wear it and fit into it. So
I feel like the final lesson needs to be that you don't point out the flaws in your garment.
yeah.
Just like with quilts.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I always tell people when knitting. It's like, don't just, or it's like Julia Child says when you're cooking, don't tell everybody everything that you messed up when you were doing it. But I do think it's good to tell people, like, look at all these little things, but the overall finished garment
good, yeah.
Great, you know.
Yeah.
And I was proud to wear it when I could fit it to it.
Well, because most people are not going to notice that at all. They're just going to see it swaying and then they'll be like, oh, that's cool. And you'll be like, yeah, I made it. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like, they're not going to be like, oh, but you didn't match that up.
Yeah.
Like, you should have matched that up.
And if they
like,
do, they're not your friend.
No, they are not.
Right.
They are not.
Yeah. And gathering, like garments with gathering in general, like they're very, very forgiving. They hide a multitude of mistakes. Gathering is your friend.
Yeah.
For sure.
So.
Do you bring anything else?
I did not. I had an example of this, but so as we were filming this series, I was actually in the process of moving, which do not recommend. But I had a dress or a skirt that I made many, many years ago. It's just a very, very simple, it's a wrap skirt, but it's not like the wrap skirt where there's the pattern for it. It's literally just some rectangles and then a long waistband that you could do whatever you want. Like I think a sari wrap skirt is what I kept calling it. So I tried to find that to bring it in, but I made, when I got married, all my bridesmaids, I made their dresses with that and then just let them drape it on them however they wanted to. And some of the things that they came up with was really fun. And you can do that. You can do that with quilting cotton because it's going to, like, it's just going to kind of fall on the body how you want it to. You do want to be mindful because most of those sari wrap dresses are meant to be reversible, but batiks, I really want to try doing that with batiks because you can't really tell the front or the back. But I did want to, you mentioned measuring yourself. I wanted to give a little tip that I forgot to mention when we did that video, whenever that was at this point. So when you are measuring yourself and you want to get that accurate measurement, a good practice to have, stand with good posture, obviously, take a deep breath, and then just relax. And that's going to be the measurement that you want to get.
Because that's how you're going to stand normally. You're not going to stand with your stomach sucked in and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I caught myself kind of sucking my stomach in a couple times
in
that video. But yeah, just, relax, take a deep breath, and just trust that, you might not like the measurements. I know I don't. But when you get garments that fit you correctly and flatter yourself, like you're going to be glad you did.
For sure. I have one more to share, and it's stained. This is what happens. This is what happens when you have a little child wearing it.
I loved this fabric.
So we did a block of the month using Kinkami shades, which was printed in Japan. And each block was one fabric, but it had this gradated fade in it because it just went from light to dark. So the way you cut it across the width of the fabric, you had to be specific in order to get it to work. And so we had this fabric in for a really long time. We had a lot of different colors, but this was like the favorite color of my then like 4-year-old. And so she asked for it. I did not pre-wash this. I like took it straight out the bolt and cut into it. And I'm thankful that I didn't regret that. But I actually, I should have cut it. This is across the length of the fabric instead of the width of the fabric. I turned it so that way that fade would continue to happen. So I cut both of my top pieces from like the center fold. And then the skirt continued on down, and same with like the sleeves. So it really just kind of fades all together, and it is so fun the way it all worked out. And I like really worked hard to make sure that like this was gonna hit at about the same point. And I remember Clothworks sharing this photo because they also thought it was super cool. And we had just painted her bedroom like this fuchsia pink accent wall. So I have this picture of her with her crazy curly hair on it. And I was so sad when I pulled it out and realized how stained it is because it really got worn. Like, it came apart a little up here. But it was just so fun to do. This was one of those Oliver and S patterns that you can still get online. But unfortunately, they stopped doing printed patterns. And mine too also got some sort of mystery blue thing on it. But it was a really fun one to make. And my 2-year-old today was like, that's my favorite. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry that you can't wear it because it's all stained. I'll have to locate it again. So
I love that you used the pink thread.
It does give it a little pop. So that one was a fun one. But we have other things too. Like this is Kaffe woven fabric. So it is kind of got a linen-y texture. The Kaffe shot cotton is also something that you would be able to get, that you could potentially make something. For this one, I had to rip the bottom, like cut it along like the end of one of these checks and then rip, so that way I would have a straight hemline, because it was just all like fiddly and moving around, and like that was the only way I could get it to fit and then have everything match up where it should be on the sides. And we've got some Tula in the back. I made a lot of stuff out of Tula. Those are just fun ones to play with.
They really are.
But for kids' clothes, like it's no holds barred. I will make any quilting cotton, no matter what the brand. I will make a little kid's dress in because it looks cute and adorable. And so, okay, you gotta iron it a little bit when it comes out, but it looks fun. And it doesn't matter if it's like super drapey because they're little sticks anyway, so it's fine. But
yeah, the rules are a little bit different.
they are.
With kids.
For adults though, like you do want to think, how is this going to drape? How is this going to wear? And there are a lot of companies that make lawn. There are a lot of companies that make poplin. There are a lot of companies that make rayon. And so if you guys really love this series and we see a lot of sales through of the original Anna Maria, then we will continue to restock with different garment friendly fabrics. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've had fun messing with it, for sure.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you very much for following along. We will come up with some more garment tidbits for you as time goes on. Well, we all can probably take a turn depending on what the technique is and how we want to share it. I feel like now I have to share how I do this, because that's just a fun little pop.
Yeah.
And that's a little quick video too. That's a fun one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, well, thanks for following along. And if you just happen to see this video and have no idea what we're talking about, we created an entire Intro to Garment Sewing series. The videos are all free to watch. Is it like 20 videos? It's something like 20 videos.
Something
It's a
like
lot.
that.
It's
Yeah.
close to 20 videos. And we go through everything from the supplies you need, what fabrics will work for it, how to measure yourself so that you end up with a perfect fit. And then we have 2 different skirt patterns. One is super simple with an elastic waistband all around. And then the other one has elastic in the back only and a flat front, so it looks a little bit more sophisticated. You get to learn some darts. Lots of really cool techniques that you're going to learn, and Stephanie teaches you throughout. And then we're wrapping it up here with some show and tell. So if you're a quilter and you want to dabble into making some things for you, get on that me-made trend, this is absolutely a course that you can take. The videos are all free to watch. The simple pattern with the elastic waistband skirt, that is free. We do have one paid pattern, and of course a great way to say thank you for all the free content is to make sure you get your supplies from us. So you can do all that at shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com. Thank you, and happy quilting.
And happy garment sewing.